Kennedy Agyapong, and then at the 22nd of September 2025, he was invited to come and speak at a program and of to UPS. In fact, now me cram person me call, but then omu posti program the flyer no, oma a particular time. What I say, so minim say 5 or say 10 no. My menu so team and then say omo start streaming live and that program no omo here the omo share no. But then Kennedy Agyapong akwa be was our program na say. In fact, oko social media, this is 2 words air trending. This particular 2 words air trending on a Asian miracle. Now, on social media, in as much as people are embracing this thing at Kennedy Agyapong, the Ababe Tujano, others are also demonizing it. In fact, it's basically like a clash of the titans on social media right now. So what did Ken say? We need the history here. You realize that post World War II, okay, which means after World War II, Japan and other economies like Japan, China, and Russia, economy, Germany, economy, bad down. All of them adopted a different strategy, and in 30 years' time, okay, post World War II, in 30 years' time, coming from the 1980s, 90s, no, Japan was the 2nd largest economy in the whole world. So what did Japan do? Japan basically said, okay, if you were Mwaba, he suffered a humiliating defeat. You bombing your 2 cities, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. But what should we do? Are we going to stay down or we are going to rise up? And Japan chose a different path. So, path no much omuyusi no, and I can affirm it as Asian miracle. They became the leading manufacturer, distribution in everything. Japan, Toshiba, Samsung, in Japan. Insano. And also, no, China, currently the 2nd largest economy, they also are doing well. Almost so we can term their progress in the world's economy as also an Asian miracle, because all of these economy and our countries, Asia. So Ken spoke at this summit, say what he wants to do is simple Asian miracle. In video babaka, we continue this particular update because many people are reacting to this.
The theory must end. We have to be pragmatic. We should start from our universities. They should amend their curriculum to include pragmatism. When we talk about national service, for instance, speakers, an engineer who has completed university and needed experience, when he goes to national service for appointment or recruitment, they gave him a receptionist. How do you expect an engineer to be a receptionist and expect him to deliver? You make a mistake, we're going to take it from him. They made sure that let us identify young entrepreneurs and give them the support. I will use Asia Miracle as an example. Asia Miracle, Esanyo, Hyundai, and all those companies were giving support. And the support was that when you fail, you are giving money to buy your equipment. If you fail to use the equipment for what you put on that document before the money was released, they will take it from you. And that time, with all due respect to Nana, Nana cannot beg. Pastor cannot beg. Your uncle cannot beg. They will take the business from you and give it to Mr. B. And because the companies knew that when they make a mistake, they were going to take it from them, they made sure that all the equipment and monies that were given to them were properly used. That is why today we have all these companies. But I have to be honest. Ghanaian businessmen or entrepreneurs, some of them are also very dishonest. When loans are given to them to expand their businesses, they buy treasury bills and use the interest on the treasury bills to service the loan. How? I tell you the truth, I'm a businessman and I know that all these things must stop. If not, the future of our youth is bleak. They cannot do anything. So we need honest, as the nation is expecting honest leaders, the leaders are also expecting honest businessmen and honest youth. Theory must end. We have to be pragmatic. We should start from our universities. They should amend their curriculum to include pragmatism. When we talk about national service, for instance, speakers, an engineer who has completed university and needed experience, when he goes to national service for appointment or recruitment, they gave him a receptionist. How do you expect an engineer to be a receptionist and expect him to deliver? This is what we are confronted with as a nation. At least engineers should be introduced to companies specialized in engineering field to enhance whatever they've learned and the practical experience that will enable them take their destiny into their own hands. This side of the world, in my country, Ghana, our policies do not encourage the youth to take their destiny into their own hands. A country where they believe only the old has the wisdom and the knowledge. I'm afraid we need to change. We have to appreciate the youth, the talent, and their innovations. If not, we'll be lagging behind when it comes to technology and innovations. Those days when we were in school, when you take math set to exams room, you were disqualified. But today, they take their laptops to the classrooms. We have to accept. In the exams room, we have to accept that is the reality now. So we have to embrace it. But when it comes to Ghana, anything about the youth is relegated to the background. We need to change that.
So that is the powerful words of Kennedy Agyapong. But I told you, sir, this particular thing on the two journal, people actually clashed on social media. One of Kennedy Agyapong's boys, okay, and our supporters posted that. Now let's take these few comments. Breaking news. So I say, if a running mate for a prime minister in the UK were to say they will use Asia Miracle model to face the economy, it will sound like a scam. What a hopeless country where people say anything and get away with it. No wonder we are on the most poorest country around. So these words by Kennedy Agyapong is going to use Asia Miracle. To some, they are saying it's just a scam. Almost, let's just call it or say it as it is. It's a scam. But then also see as well, people and Anipa now posted that particular video. No, he had a different take. Or say, first of all, the UK doesn't even work the way you are suggesting. There's no such thing as a running mate. People vote for a parliamentary candidate and the leader of a winning party for most seats in parliament for most seats in parliament automatically becomes prime minister. Also, countries constantly study and adopt policies from others. The UK itself has done this economically. After the World War II, Britain borrowed heavily from the US. New Deal model adopting welfare state measures like social security and public works to rebuild its economy. Most recently during Brexit, that is, if I say British leaving EU when you say Brexit. Also, most recently during Brexit, public works to rebuild its economy. Most recently during Brexit negotiations, the UK pushed for trade terms and modeled after Canada's agreement with the EU. So please, you are only speaking from the corridors of ignorance. So they clashed again, saying the Asia miracle, no, a Chinese woman Asia for woman kwandi any a fake. Regardless, no, the guy, no, also pushi back, Gabriel, no, Gabriel Gansa, or pushi back. And Obi Betro, Asia Miracle can be one wild campaign message. As a country, we need to combine 1D1F, 24-hour economy, and the Asia Miracle model into one and start pursuing aggressively. Unfortunately, the ideas belong to different people that can't sit and plan together. So it says that this whole thing about Agyapong's Asia Miracle, it indeed makes sense. But then, now, or say can combine one district, one factory, 24-hour economy. But then it won't happen because of politics and propaganda. Again, Obisa try and as they say Gabriel Gansa I said that's very true. If only our leaders are able to put their differences aside and move with the mindset of building upon good policies, the country will prosper. So straight up from the back, you could see various reactions to this. To some people, Ken's Asia Miracle policy ideas, it could materialize because currently, most countries in Asia, they are doing well, and then if you want to emulate them, at the end of the day, economy a big grow, and it's safe to say we start from them. What I say, there's an old adage they say you learn from the best. So we need to learn from the best. So that is exactly what is really going on. You could see clearly said this whole thing is really getting a lot of traction.